there, Billy in. A goal, Billy Huddersfield Town. The most famous goal of Billy's life.
Is this the moment for Lee Fowler? It is. Take your place in Division 2, Huddersfield Town.
Dookie and Steve Simonson's boots now. He's missed. Steve Simonson clears the frame of the goal and collapses in a heap of tears. Huddersfield Town are promoted.
Mustafa Schindler has a chance to write his name in Huddersfield Town legend. And he takes that chance!
Hello and welcome to episode 69 of the Andy Takes That Chance podcast. Again, we're live and bringing you all the nils from the last two games. With you today is Richard Kosi Kosmala, Brady Frost, Simon Copland, and me, Matt Shaw. This episode is always sponsored by Magic Rock Brewing. Magic Rock currently doing free delivery on all orders over £40 at the minute. So if you head to the shop at magicrockbrewing.com, there's some deals and some great stuff that you can get involved with there. So guys, welcome to episode 69. Ironically, not the most sexy podcast after 2 0-0 draws. Who wants to kick us off? Maybe with Preston. Kosi, how about we jump in with you, mate?
I think I said enough last night on Radio Leeds. I'm getting a bit of stick for that, but yeah, I've always liked to watch a game of football. I want to see us try and win. I think who dares wins. I've always liked kind of attacking-minded football, and we didn't think we saw that on Saturday. I just felt we looked at the league table instead of looked at the form, looked where we played at Birmingham, and to me it was a big step backwards. But obviously people will be shouting, well, it's a point against a good side. But no, they were poor. After 10, 15 minutes, they were there for the take-in. But unfortunately, we don't pick as best team, and we'll probably come on to it tonight, where we start with Pritchard, who's... what can I say? But Smith Rowe comes on too late then, and tonight we saw, Smith Rowe leading Reading a merry dance, and then we take him off, ready for Friday, and then the game goes down the pan. So to me, missed opportunity, I think. But we might be all right, because obviously the other teams are stumbling about like drunks back in these pubs that opened on Saturday, and it was. But it made it look better, didn't it? Obviously, with results on Sunday, what we saw with Borough getting beaten, Hull. But yeah, Huddersfield Town are at home. I want to see Huddersfield Town trying to win the game.
How about you, Brady? How did you find the game? Because we're very cautious of Brady's internet connection keeps dropping in and out. So we'll bring you in, mate. Shades of Mick McCarthy in Japan 2002.
Yeah, sorry guys. I will try and fix it. The Preston match. I thought Preston didn't really come to get anything. I think I'm sure we'll go on to talk about the Reading game. I think we really struggle to break teams down that don't really give it a go. It was a boring game. I suppose the only positive we can say is it's we didn't. It's a point gained, and we're just picking up points. I don't think we're lacking. I think we're lacking in terms of incision. We don't seem to be making a lot of chances, but at the same time, I don't think we're giving away too many clear-cut chances. So we'll just see how it goes. But not one of the highlights of the season.
Tell you what, Brady, one thing I didn't get, Preston were going for a top six, or are they not? I mean, I don't know their ins and outs of week in, week out football, but Scott Sinclair and Stockley, to stay on the bench for 83 minutes, I couldn't believe what they were doing. They were so bad. Why weren't they going for it? Are they giving up on the top six and not bothered? It was a strange performance from Preston. I thought they started the first 10 minutes quite well, but after that, I was quite shocked. I really expected, I know they're out of form, but there was nothing there from them, was there? That's why I was frustrated that I thought we were 2 points lost for us.
How about you, Si? What do you think about that?
Yeah.
Mm. Yeah, I thought it was a decent point, to be honest, against Preston. Preston, I think if you look at it, the results around us, I think made it a better point than maybe what it was on the field, if you like. I thought Trevor Chalobah put a decent performance in at right back. I thought we saw a different option there. I thought he carried the ball out well, he defended well, and he's helped make the back four look a bit more solid. Christopher Schindler back to form, which is great to see as well. And John Gorant Stankovic in tonight, he's made a few fleeting performances. And again, he's shown that he might be moving to Sturm Graz, but he's still here and he's still putting 100% effort in, which is only a good thing really for the squad.
The thing that I was interested in, Brady, you did an interview didn't you, with North End kind of fans, soon, and they were really downbeat, really depressed. Said we had nothing lot to play against. So I was really optimistic that we'd like take it to them, but we didn't. And I just think, obviously, time will tell. And I still think, I think we'll stay up and what have you. But I want to see us.
Bit of a missed opportunity to.
It could be, and I could be talking a lot of nonsense. Probably people shouting at me at the screen now, but it is. I thought we'd have a real go at Preston, and we didn't. And what can I say? It's it'll probably look a good point, I'm sure, in the next couple of weeks. But it's yeah, I just hope we're not getting into it. We're not getting into it. I mean, again, it totally could be at the wrong end of the stick here. I just hope we're not at the old Wagner v Tottenham situation where Leeds United, Cowley, we went there, we got his fingers burned, and now I'm going to rein it in against a good side. But it is, I might be being harsh and talking out my backside, but it's just one game, isn't it? But I just thought we should have done more, guys. But obviously, it'll look a good point, hopefully, in a week's or two time.
Yeah, so probably move on from Preston there, because I think you fancied doing a bit of a section, did you, on that? But I'm just wondering if you can remember any sort of other games which were as tough a watch. Maybe I remember a game in the '90s which was Town 0 Port. There was a 0-0 I think against Tranmere under Steve Bruce, which was an absolute shocker. And the Stoke game earlier this season as well was a real tough one as well. But any games that stand out, and I think you wanted maybe a couple of danger moments in there, didn't you?
Yeah, I've got nothing prepared, to be honest with you, but it's a tough one. I think that the thing that we'll probably discuss in a minute, Reading, and I've really got to try and part this, but I can't. My mind just wants to look ahead to next season. I'm looking, do I have to just forget about next season and we have to stay up at all costs? Because I sense with some of the tweets and some of the messages, it's like people are really happy with the point tonight and the point on. It's almost like we just get over the line. However we do it, stumble over the line, and then we go again. And maybe they're right, because we'll. I was just thinking about it today when we were watching the game. There's probably only 2 or 3 people out of that lineup tonight that I would say it's maybe guaranteed to start is in September when they're staying. You're probably looking at Toffolo, Hogg. I've got a feeling Schindler. I mean, again, this is just on my own opinion. I've got a feeling Schindler won't be around next season. Well, Mooney, I hope so, but there's no guarantees. There's not much at the moment, I would say, to kind of build on, and coupled with that, with the kind of tough football to watch, I'm struggling a little bit at the moment with Town. But do I just have to think, forget it, let's get over the line, and then in August we're going to go and sign a lot of players or bring some young ones in? I'm struggling a bit with it all.
So I think we've had a few sound issues on the line, which should be fixed now. Simon and Brady, I think your audio dropped off slightly when you reconnected back in, but
it's like I follow all over again.
Yeah, we should be okay now. Right, so let's get some opinion that's kind of come in. So Tweak says you're a beaming ray of sunshine tonight, Kosi, on there, but I think we're all a little bit after that one. Right, so Pete Collins says Town let him down for a Yankee on Saturday. 3 winners in Town, 224 quid. Got 51. It's better than nothing, mate, I think there. So tonight we've got Reading, and again, I thought we started quite well today. I thought there were some good passages of play, but it just kind of fell down in and around the box. There's a couple of chances to get quality in the box, and Chris Willett kind of overhit a couple of crosses. Emil Smith-Rowe looked very good first half, and we've talked about what a good player Emil Smith-Rowe is and how threatening he looked in certain areas, and I thought he played really well today. Mounier, he was okay, carrying a bit of a knock. But how about you guys? I thought it was a relatively good start, and the game just kind of petered out a little bit. And Stephen Chicken tweeted a pretty good stat, which said it's the first time since 2001 Town have kept 3 successive clean sheets, which is not a bad thing, really. I know defending's not the sexy thing to talk about, is it? And the clean sheets and the back four.
Did we go down in 2001, Matt, or is that 01-2?
Yeah, let's gloss over that particular bit. Yeah, but but yeah, so it's the first time we've kept 3 successive clean sheets, which is not bad. So I think it's testament to the recovery from Christopher Schindler as well. He's, we after Nottingham Forest, I think we all kind of said he's not really at it like he was before, but he's really turned it back around, which is great to see. And Harry Toffolo came in for some stick as well, and he's put some good performances in now. And I'm quite positive after two draws. It's not been great to watch, but sometimes I think the ends justify the means a little bit. And we're on the board. We've moved up a couple of places tonight as well. We're in 18th now, and you would probably say 1 or 2 wins, and we're probably there. But how about you guys? How did you think the game went tonight? I know, again, it's another tough watch at points, but we'll go with you, Brady, while your internet connection's good. How did you see it?
Yeah, I agree with you, Matt. I thought we started well. I think that's the thing. If we start well if we go for it at the beginning, it generally does look quite positive. I thought Emil Smith-Rowe was great. I can see why they took him off, because obviously he's massive, but he was making some really direct runs, and it was looking positive. Again, it's just, I think at the moment with Town, the teams we're playing, it is kind of a case of who gets the first goal, or who, I think if we get the first goal, we look comfortable. That kind of showed that with Birmingham. But I think if we don't score, we kind of, I think, I don't know about you guys, but it kind of got to the 65th minute, and I know Callie put on some subs, but didn't really feel like it felt like we were happy with a point. And obviously we've talked about it, and we kind of just need this season to end, really, and stay up. But Yeah, there was some flashes, but I don't think we really created many chances. I mean, Reading didn't either, so I suppose that's the positive. But yeah, it's just well, they've been tough watches. I didn't think we played bad, but I think a point was a fair result because I don't think either of us looked like winning it. I think Town were the better team overall, but I don't think you could say we did enough to deserve all 3 points, to be honest.
How about you, Kosi?
Yeah, I mean, just to see Lossell messing about for about a minute and a half and the last goal kick of the game, moving it from one side to the other, shows you where we're at. We're happy for the draw. I said earlier on that I'm trying to be a bit downbeat, but as soon as Smith Rowe were hauled off for Pritchard, we knew we were pulling up the stumps on the wicket. I know the test match is back tomorrow. That was it. We were done. And then we went backwards and Reading kind of got back in the game as well. But I thought it was similar to Birmingham, to be honest with you. I thought they were awful. They didn't have any energy. I was shocked how many times when Reading kind of broke, they hardly had anyone forward. Nobody could be bothered to bust a gut to get forward. There were no options for them. And I was just like, this is there for the taking. But good half hour from us. But after that, it kind of faded fast, didn't it? And I mean, we're slinging Quaner on and what have you, the last 5-10 minutes. And don't get me wrong, it's a good point, etc. But I just felt, again, this would have keep Smith Rowe until the end. Keep, if you're right, Munir's got to knock them, fair enough. But keep your best team out to the end. Let's try and win the game here. I keep hearing now about this blockbuster against Luton and massive game against Luton. It is, but it is for Luton. Why not try and get the 3 points today? And we did for an hour, but let's keep going for it. Give our pedal to the floor, foot to the floor. Try and get the 3 points tonight. It might be a good point. Obviously, this time next week, we'll have a better idea where we're going to be. But I just don't like it all piling on pressure games because, as we know, this Town at home in pressure games over the years, we've not delivered much, have we? So, but it's kind of weird. We watched the last 5 minutes of Luton and Barnsley, it was chaos. There were like big, not a brawl at the end, but it were all going off after the final whistle. Nathan Jones lost it nose to nose with the referee. It sounded like they were really, kind of up for it as well. So, there's a big distance between us and Luton. And I think even if they beat us, famous last words, I don't see them overtaking us. But why pile all the pressure on that? Let's try and win every game. Try and beat Preston. Try and beat Reading. I just think we do have a go, but then we're kind of happy for a point. And, and I don't know what anyone else thought. Cowley's comments before the game on about integrity, questioning the integrity of the league now. I mentioned this before with the restart where, teams, will they sack it off now, etc., etc. To me, the Reading were a team that had pulled up the stumps, and you've just got to try and get your house in order, haven't you, yourself for that as well. You can only take responsibility for your own performances, but I do think it's got a point.
I think Reading's result at the weekend maybe spooked us a little bit, that 5-0 that they got on Saturday.
How weird was that result? It's incredible when you think about it, because Luton were on a decent little trot and kind of were talking them up, to be honest with you, the way they played last game.
I think it shows that I think it's really difficult to sit here and suggest how the run on the legs or how this run affects the legs of the players that we're seeing, because we're seeing quite a lot of the same players playing Saturday midweek, and we've got another one Friday again. And Christopher Schindler, has played every minute this season. How are his legs feeling? You're not played for 3 months, and all of a sudden you're playing every other, sort of every 3 days to cram all these fixtures in, and it must take it out of you, especially physically. And I'm just wondering if what we're seeing is just gross inconsistency across the board, because I don't think everybody's really sort of wanting to manage players properly. They're trying to throw players in, trying to get the results. And I think what we're seeing is players maybe the fitness levels are all over the place. And I think we're just kind of seeing a really sort of strange bunch of games. And I think we're heading in the right direction. I'm quite happy with 2 points. I know it's not great, but again, I think the ends justify the means, if you like. I think today, you're right, Reading were there for the taking, especially first half. But one thing that Town have really struggled to do over the last 3 years is really score when on top. We really struggle to punish teams, consistently. And I think once we'd had that little flurry where we're on top and we failed to score, we've had a lot of shots from distance. And Josh Quirk's messaged through and said that, when Carl Grant's not particularly in the game, we don't look that threatening elsewhere. And there's probably a point, there's a point to that as well. Do you think maybe people are sitting on Grant doubling up and then that's nullifying us elsewhere as well? Or do you think it maybe just is the fitness really? And I know it's draining, talking about it's been a bit draining tonight, But do you think maybe it's just a case we're just seeing drained players? Kosi, Sai on that one.
I think it's a combination of all that, to be honest, Matt. As you say, it's difficult to know truly what how fatigued the players are after the number of games in such close space to one another. But it's inevitable to have some impact. Obviously, that I won't say famous is the wrong word, but that kind of clip of Chris Löwer in Germany, when he's interviewed by the German pundits, being quite annoyed and frustrated about the number of games that Dresden go asked to play in such a short time, and the same's true over here, really. It's just hope that Town can manage it better than some other clubs.
So Jack Fallow says it was an okay performance from Town and a decent point looking at other results, but Reading were there for the taking, so pretty much along the lines of what you've said there, Cos. We only forced their keeping to one real save. 1 plus was Chalobah at right back. I'd be interested to know what people thought of Chris Willock today. I think there was quite a lot of positivity. So let us know what you think in the live chat on YouTube about Chris Willock. I thought there was a lot of positivity, a lot of running, maybe a couple of fitness issues. And
would you try and sign him?
Decision.
Would you try and sign him?
Me, I'd probably wait until as late as possible. I think there's signs there that there's a good player, but I think there's also signs of a player who kind of drifts a bit too much as well. I think there's potential there. I think that's the thing, and whether it's a case of, well, we know everything's up in the air, don't we? With finances at the minute as well.
How much do you think is worth Chris Willock in today's market?
1.35 money, I think Benfica paid, but obviously now
I won't pay that. No, yeah. I'd take him on a free.
500 grand.
Less than
maybe. It's difficult. It's difficult to know now, isn't it? With the way everything is, and if we're going to get anything to spend, I think there'll be some good options out there. So I'm not sure whether I would go all in just yet. I'll probably see where we are at the end of it. Personally, I think I'd see where we are after the last game and see what he's done. It's kind of a bit on a knife edge, I think, at the minute. He's shown some good stuff. Bristol City at home, he was great. Today, I thought there was some plus points, some negative points, but there's potential there, and I think it's just I would probably leave that as late as possible to make that call. To be honest, it's definitely not a yes, and it's definitely not a no. I've sat on the fence a little bit there. About you guys,
I thought he played well today. He showed some flashes, and he had some good link-up play with Smith Rowe, but he was I think he was a bit knackered at the end, and he should have come off a bit earlier. But yeah, I agree. I think because I've seen a couple of comments in the chat about who you bring in. I think it's in the transfer window. It's tricky, isn't it? Because one, we don't know what league we're going to be in for definite, but obviously looking promising. Fingers crossed. But yeah, I don't know. I think it's a tough one. I think Willock does have that potential, like you say, Matt, and I think in terms of attacking threat on the right wing, he's better than Kachunga in that sense. But yeah, it just depends what the options are out there. I think it's going to be a really weird window, to be honest. And yeah, I was going to ask on the other side, what did you guys think about Grant and Mounier today? Because obviously Mounier first start didn't really seem fit to me, and he seemed a bit low in confidence. And I thought Grant was a bit greedy. I mean, obviously he's scored the goals that have helped us out a lot, but yeah, I was a bit disappointed. I don't think Grant's really been that on it since football's returned, to be honest.
I was just going to say the same, Brady. You've stolen the words right there. Yeah, Grant, I mean, there are kind of a few groups on WhatsApp, and the Grant were getting kind of a bit of stable. I mean, obviously we mentioned before that playing out left is a different player than kind of up the middle. I have to say, I mean, I've always been a big champion of Grant and 20 goals I were forecasting and what have you. They might kind of sneak in there with his penalties and what have you, but at the moment, yeah, it's a struggle really for him. And I was pleased to see Big Steve on, and I think Chris Powell talked about it, didn't he, on the commentary, kind of hold-up play, which gives you that probably no one else does on our kind of front line as well. But I think looking in the crystal ball, though, it's going to need such an overhaul, isn't it? It's going to need such a change. I think I've got to go to sleep tonight and think, forget how we play against Luton, Sheffield and Millwall, what have you. Even if we bought everyone to get 3 draws and we stay up. Because the Huddersfield Town that takes to the pitch on September, when is it the start? I think it's not been agreed, has it yet? But did they say first week of September, or whatever it is? Surely that's going to be radically different. It's got to be radically different to what is out there today and that as well. I think it's going to be chalk and cheese, and then maybe you'll see Cowley ball or whatever you call it these days. Because at the moment I don't see an identity with us, but it's stay up at all costs, isn't it? So, and there's players who probably don't want to be there, and obviously Stankovic is playing. He don't even play for us next season. That's what you're in at the moment. There's not many clubs about who are playing players who's gone. I mean, Charlton, they've lost today, but been players. Other teams have been players often, but it's a weird time. It's a funny old time. I should be buzzing, but I can't help but look ahead but what can you do? I want a team that's going to excite me, young, hungry players, and I think we'll get that. But I think the big question is, will Cowley throw some of the academy lads in, because it's proven that he's just not.
I'm expecting Town to make better use of the loan market next season than what we've done this time round, particularly last summer. Trevor obviously came in and kind of has done okay in that defensive midfield role at times, but hasn't really held down a starting position in way you'd expect. You kind of compare it to obviously our kind of promotion season and the impact that Kosi Palmer, Izzy Brown had, Aaron Moy obviously, Danny Ward had added to that as well. They were really successful kind of loan signings for us, and Danny Cowley's shown his well networked through bringing kind of Emile Smith-Rowe in, and I'd expect more of that kind of this summer, and I think that'll be a kind of a key determinant of kind of how we fare next season. Just to kind of really come back on kind of point about Grant and Mooney. I think for me, Mooney had a really good chance. Once it's a really good chance, it's probably the wrong phrase, but one of the better chances in the game. Maybe around the 70-minute mark, when kind of ball came in and got his head to the end of it, and kind of a real poor header in the end. And I think Steve Mounier in form, who's perhaps played kind of 5 or 6 games up to that point and is 100% fit, makes better contact with that header and potentially kind of draws a good save from the keeper or scores a goal, and today it didn't either. So yeah, hopefully we can get him fit and firing and kind of the rest of the season and potentially next as well.
A few messages coming through about trying to keep Trevor Chalobah as well, and he's a player who I think the vast majority of Huddersfield fans weren't too fussed about just before Christmas, but he's like at Ipswich, he seems to have turned it around.
Man of the match for Town tonight.
Yeah, he's done great. Yeah. What about you guys? He's just turned 21. Chelsea always seem to put a strange figure on these players. That Izzy Brown's coming to a certain age as well, whereby he's probably going to have to think about what he's going to do. What do you reckon about Trev? Do you bring him back next year on loan? Do you maybe look into the possibility of permanent, or instead of developing? The argument there is, do you want to develop your own players or do you want to develop someone else's? What do you reckon to Trev? Do you think he's worth bringing back? And if we do bring him back, do you think he fits into that double pivot midfield with Hoggy there as well?
I'd try and bring him back. I think he's been really solid, and he seems to be, obviously he's been playing right back the last 2 games, but I think he's done a really good job. If we could get him on a permanent, I think it'd be great. I do wonder if it could be a season, if we did get him next season, where you kind of change him and Hogg might slowly play less games. But yeah, I think he's been fantastic. And I think the issue is when we do play O'Brien and Hogg in that midfield too, like we don't have a lot of height there, and obviously he does add the height and the presence that I do think we need. I think he's been great. Like you say, I don't think everyone was wild about him at the start, but most improved player for me this season, really. Obviously O'Brien's been fantastic, but no one expected that. But I think from when we took him at the start in August and where he is now, I think he's been a really useful player for us.
What do you say?
Not for me. No, kind of. He had big shoes to fill. All right, he wasn't signed as Aaron Moy's replacement, but as soon as Aaron Moy departed, kind of he was kind of looked to fill that void, and that's kind of perhaps a little bit unfair to him. Aaron Moy's has been an exceptional player, but I've kind of been a little bit disappointed with Trev, to be honest. I agree with Brady's point that he's improved as the season has gone on, but I think if you're going to kind of bring in a loan player from one of the Premier League clubs, presumably there'll be a fee or certainly a contribution to his wages associated with that. For that player then not to be able to kind of hold down a starting place in the team, to me suggests that kind of is not someone that perhaps has a future at Huddersfield Town. So I if it was up to me, I wouldn't bring him back.
Sorry, Side, just because I know Kosi and Matt, but do you think he was brought in to replace Moy? Because I don't think he was.
Seemed more of a billing type to me than.
Yeah,
just in that he's a DM, that sort of tall DM, sits there in front of the back four and plays out. He seemed a bit more for that for me. I think maybe maybe it's a slightly different one.
I think that's fair. I think kind of
Tweaks with you anyway. He says no for Trev for him, Simon. So.
Cheers, mate.
Got support, yeah.
Two of us. No one was signed really to replace Aaron Moy. Therein part lies a problem, doesn't it? But
Kieran Dowell, we cast our minds back, and Kieran Dowell was going to be the Aaron Moy replacement, wasn't he? And that just didn't work out, and he's doing quite well at Wigan. He didn't do very well at Derby, did he? But he's doing quite well at Wigan at the moment. But I think he was the replacement for Moy, and that just didn't happen for one reason or another. But yeah, I do like it. So a couple of other
Kosi, what's your opinion? I want to know what Kosi thinks, sorry.
Yeah,
I'm with you, Si. I echo what you said. To be fair, I think he's got better as the season's gone along, but if you think money's going to be tight and you want to hopefully promote some of your own grown, I don't know. It could be one of those where you look back, you might go again on loan to someone else next season and really shine in that as well. And, I've been right back. He's let no one down because it's kind of telling, really. I mean, I know, mind you, has he got like bad illness when he do Harney? I've kind of read something. That's why he didn't play, didn't he, on Saturday, and obviously stuck faith through him tonight. But no,
it was a flu, wasn't it? That he got COVID tested and it wasn't COVID. Yeah, so I think it was nasty a flu.
What he had, but yeah, no, not for me. The creativity is the big thing. I mean, Smith Rowe, he's our best player by a country mile.
Yeah, Pete Collins thinks he's Aaron Moy with pace, and he is good, and I do feel sorry for him a little bit, Cos, as well, because he gets into these good areas and puts balls through, and then some people aren't always quite on the same page as him, and it kind of breaks down a little bit, and he kind of comes away thinking.
The thing I love about him, Matt, because you get these weird camera angles with iFollow. I've noticed they're not like your normal stuff, but when it shows Smith Rowe, his first thought is to run direct, and not like an headless chicken. Get the ball and cause some problems. There wasn't a day where they kind of got absolutely mullered for the guy with the yellow card. And he just comes back for more. I absolutely love the guy. And God, I put a tweet out after the Birmingham game, how good he was. He got 1,108. There were Arsenal fans going nuts. They were like saying, is he that good? This, that, and the other. So I hope I haven't talked him up too much because obviously a big step up to Premier League. But wow, this guy is just anything good about Huddersfield Town in the final third. And he is the man. It just shows, doesn't it, that we had an £11 million player coming on that just made it look. It were like swapping a Robin Reliant on it for a Porsche or other way around, wasn't it, really? Nothing that he kind of gives. But, yeah, I wonder where he'll end up next season. Obviously, can't see it being with us, but what a player.
It'd be nice, wouldn't it, if he did end up with us? Yeah, I think he's destined for the Premier League, either with Arsenal or
He didn't want to come off the now, did he? He didn't want to come off.
No. He seems to be loving it as well. That's the other great thing about him. He's bought into what we're doing, isn't he? He's bought in. He seems to get on great with everybody. You see him laughing and joking with everyone, and you don't get any sort of feeling that he thinks he's better than where he's at. He seems quite happy with what he's doing. But I'd be very surprised if we did see him next season. He's again like Aaron Moy. It's going to be big shoes to fill, isn't it, for next year?
Credit to him, and Matt, for coming, because let's be honest, he's a Southern boy, London boy, Huddersfield in January or what have you.
It's beautiful,
bottom of the league, Danny Cowley. It's hardly a sexy move, wasn't it? But the guy, probably the first time he's moved away from London and what have you, it would have been so easy to say, no, I'm happy to sit, playing for Arsenal Academy or what have you, or even getting a loan move, down London. But he didn't. And that's what impressed me. Just like come up and I'm going to be so sad to see him disappear, really. I just hope we can get a bit more magic out of him. I'm sure we will in the next few games because just give him the ball. That is all you need to do, man. He can create.
Yeah, I think if you could have any player back next season, you would have him. I think he's... Well, I don't know about you guys, but I think if we had him at the start of the season, I don't think we'd be anywhere near the relegation zone. I think he makes that much of a difference. He's definitely in the Prem next season, whether that's with Arsenal or like another loan at like a lower table club. But yeah, he's absolute quality. Yeah, I don't know. Like I'm pleased because I thought it was going to be great, and to toot my own horn, looks like. Yeah.
How many spots are up for grabs next year, guys? Can we do a quick 1 to 11? So goalkeeper, obviously one. Right back, obviously one. left back Toffolo was sorted, haven't we?
Mm.
Kind of
centre backs.
I think
tricky,
Schindler. I don't think Schindler will be here next year. I just feel it's just a gut feel, you know.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
It's a gut feel.
But we've got Stearman, Elphick,
Stearman,
and Romani Edmonds-Green. Romani Edmonds-Green. I can't even say his name. Romani Edmonds-Green will probably come in and fill that void that Stankovic is leaving. And 12 months ago he was on loan at Brighouse Town. So fair play to him. He's stepped up and he's gone out this year, hasn't he? A couple of times, and he's ended up at Swindon, and they thought quite a lot of him. So that's one to watch. I think he looks quite exciting, Edmonds-Green. So that looks okay, mate.
Kosi, before you go further, mate, I've got one for you. Your number one, would you have Ryan Schofield?
I don't know enough about how he's kind of...
I'm just laughing that Pete Collins says ESR loves the sights of Dewsbury.
I'm always one for a bit of an experienced keeper, me. You know, I know that people can throw names that has done the job youth, but I like to see kind of a bit of an older guard coming in personally. But then
I think I agree. And then maybe kind of Schofield on the bench, assuming obviously Lossell goes back, Coleman's released. The only thing then is that if Schofield becomes number two, it's then very difficult for a number two goalkeeper to develop. We've probably seen that with Coleman to an extent. You get confined to the bench and kind of where did your career go? So that's kind of a bit of a thought to the future. But sorry, mate, you got to left back. I'll let you continue.
No, cheers, man. So O'Brien, I were worried about losing him, but I think he's kind of dipped.
Sheffield United were very interested from something I heard. Yeah,
but you'd still, my gut feel again, still feel he'll be around kind of starting next season, which is really good. Obviously, Si, I'm kind of jumping on your shoes, so I think we're going to need to replace, Shalabar. Obviously, Hogg stays, but
you're not keeping Andy King.
Oh, it's a tough one, isn't it?
Done all right. Sort of last 50 for me. I thought he played quite well last 15, 20 minutes tonight. Before that, he was okay, but
you could get him on a free, I suppose, couldn't you? And I don't think
he's out of contract. He's available for nothing this summer. Is he a good squad player? Yeah. There's Andy King there. Yeah.
Kachunga's probably not going to be. I mean, Callum Grant's an interesting one, isn't it? I mean,
Danny Bell's just reminding us Ben Hamer's back next year.
We've still got Mbenza though, Diakapi, haven't we? Still in the books.
Yeah,
and Congolo. You've got to remember that.
And Sobby.
Oh yeah,
Sobby, yeah. There's a video going around with Diakapi's latest touch as well, isn't there, online? And he's going to be hard to shift in the summer, I think.
I wonder what his team and then obviously throw the unknowns with the window and how many people are going to be able to pay X and Y. It's just it's really up in the air, isn't it? I think the key there, Si. I mean, Leeds are probably going to go up, but two of their best players are loan players.
Yeah, and then obviously the rules kind of changed. Like when you go up, you can go from having 5 loanees to 2, and
our best players are loan player. Our best players are loan player.
I thought it was interesting today. Leeds have kind of spent £16 million on Helder Costa, presumably an obligation to buy rather than a kind of decision to buy. And were they not to get promoted now, that could kind of come back to bite them quite a bit.
I think it just shows our side, doesn't it, that people are. I keep hearing, Phil, get your money out. This, that, and other. We had the money out for Pritchard. We had the money out for Mbenza. We had the money out for Diakabi. And what did that get us? Money don't mean anything. It means we just want quality, hungry young players. But I think, like you've just mentioned there, guys, like everyone's after these loan players, these starlets and stuff, and it's going to be. You just need 2 or 3 of them, don't you? I mean, obviously, Moy were a lone player for us and brilliant. Obviously, not a young guy, but it's that is the key for it all. But can we get anyone from our, Edmonds Green? Can he come in next season? Can we get anyone out of our academy, to come up? This is the key.
I was having a chat with some of my fellow my mates who are Town fans, and we were kind of wondering if, obviously, we've talked about it before on the pod. There's going to be a lot of free agents, but I wonder if we, again, loan signings. I agree with you, signing Kosi. I think they'll be important, and we could, pick up. There's a lot of young Premier League youngsters in the side that we could pick up. But I do wonder if we might. Obviously, we picked up Toffolo, kind of pinched him from Lincoln. I wonder if we'll kind of look for up and coming players in like League One and League Two. Obviously, we tried that with Reece Brown and Karoma, but I wonder if that might be our model, because we've never really been a team that kind of poaches, younger players from different leagues.
What about that Akin Fenwa guy that last night? He looked quite good. How's he still going? He must be about 50.
Shifted that, wasn't he?
No, his energy is unbelievable and enthusiasm. We need that energy and enthusiasm, but obviously, maybe a better level.
Yeah. And I don't know, it'd be interesting. I mean, sorry, going back to the keeper, I agree with you, Kosi. I think we need to pick up an experienced keeper, and we need someone for a couple of years. I'd probably send Schofield out on loan to like League One or League Two, because I think he probably will be Town's number one if given how much he talks about him. But I do think he needs, it didn't really work out for him at Livingston. I think he kind of needs to get game time, and I don't think he would be first choice. But like we say,
unlucky with an injury at Livingston, wasn't he? And then Livingston had to go and did what we did with Grabara, essentially, where they had to replace him with someone from Rangers. But yeah, so there's a few coming through saying Grant will probably be sold in the summer. Kosi, will it be a sad day in the Kuzmala house if that happens?
Oh, it's weird how things change, isn't it? Because obviously Grant until about February time. Well, to be fair, before the lockdown, really, but I'm not sure. It depends what we can get. You always want to keep your leading strikers, but I don't know. I think if a decent bid came in now, I'd be kind of okay, but it depends who you can get, really. Just he hadn't fired since. I mean, I know he scored the goals, Birmingham, but he missed the penalty. But I don't know. I'm a fan, but it wouldn't be like kind of post Christmas or post COVID Grant to me. So no, depends. Maybe you could do a deal or something like that. Would you keep him, Matt?
It's catch-22, isn't it? Because you're trying to replace.
Is he good enough though? That's suppose a better question. Is he good enough to cut it for a top 6 championship, or I suppose Premier maybe?
Goal scorers will always carry that premium, won't they? The guy scores goals. He's a Premier League finisher. The rest of his game, it depends very much how you set up to get the best out of him. Putting him on the left for us, allows us to work to try and get him into good positions, to get the ball out of his feet and to do what he does best, and it works. 2 up front, you look at Sheffield United maybe in the Premier League, and Bournemouth are struggling a little bit, but you look at some of those sides and you think, well, they play a striker and another striker pushed a little bit higher at times. Maybe he could go and play for a club whereby they play with more than one attacking option, so he's not having to play with his back to goal. And I think it's very much a case of styles for Karlan Grant. If you're banging the ball up to him and making him face his own goal, the guy doesn't want to do that. He won't do the work. He can't do the work. But if you're playing it through into channels for him, it can be deadly. So again, I think he's a niche player. I think is Karlan Grant for a lot of clubs. I don't think everybody would take him for the money, but I think some certainly would. And I think it's very much a case of getting the right club or the right club coming in and offering the right money. And again, I'm going to be really boring and say it goes back to the the post-COVID era, if you like, and how many clubs have got the money for him, because you can't buy him to play up front in a 4-2-3-1 at this moment in time.
I think we've talked about it, Matt. I do agree with you there. I don't think we by no means the finished article, and I don't want to.
No, he's 22, and to be fair, he's 22.
Yeah, no, exactly. Yeah. And I don't want to give him a lot of stick because he's been brilliant for us this season, but
we'd probably go down without him. I think that's fair to say. Yeah, we'd be down. Yeah,
100%. But I don't think he actually offers much if he doesn't score. I know that sounds a crazy thing to say, and maybe I'm more influenced by recent games, but
there's a lot of strikers you could say that about in the past. I think, to be fair, Gary Lineker, I think, is a classic example. But
I
know what you mean.
Yeah, it doesn't really tend to. Well, certainly in these last games, I think he's quite. He's quite greedy. But to be fair, I think there's not a lot going, so I'd rather him shoot than someone else. But I think it's quite obvious. Like, I don't know about you, the chance in the game earlier, like it was so obvious what he was going to do, which was cut inside, and he did it like 3 times, and Reading just managed to clear it away.
And snuff it, yeah.
Yeah, I think. He's been brilliant, and I don't want to criticise him. But if we got, there was talk. What was it, 15, 20 million before all COVID? Obviously, we don't know what would happen now. But I think I'd probably take that if we could make the squad better, because we need a big overhaul. Because that's been out of the season. It's not been good enough. wait for the barrage of comments to come.
No, there's. I think there's none really come through about that so much. One of them, Thomas Helliwell, says, "What would you do with Fraser Campbell next season?" That's come through, and Ashley Hitchin mentions Joe Lolly was signed from the lower leagues, but never really got a chance. I think that was more due to injury, really. Than
I think I'd keep Campbell, to be honest, Matt. I just think, he's a good guy. I think this is just where Huddersfield Town are at the moment. If we were really going for promotion and what have you, I think I'd be probably ruthless and say no, but Huddersfield Boy is probably a good guy to have around the camp, and if maybe we could bring in a young striker that he could nurture and, training kind of bring through with his experience, maybe I think it's probably worth I don't know what his wages, obviously, but I think it's worth to keep him, personally.
And I don't think there'll be many clubs queuing to take.
What I'd be interested in is seeing, sorry, Cos. I think what I'd be interested in is seeing how Campbell is after a full pre-season. I think that'd be, I think injuries maybe and that lack of pre-season have maybe caught up with him this season a bit.
So there is, Matt, what's a full pre-season for this next season? We ain't going to be going away to Austria or what have you, for a few weeks.
So there's definitely some freezing going on there. So, messages again saying Grant will be there in the summer. Will he be there in the summer? So
what did you reckon to the fake crowd noise?
That's probably a good chance to end the podcast. I think that was petering out quite naturally. Thanks for everybody who's messaged in today. And what we'll do is we'll be back again
Matt, can you hear us?
at the end of the next game after Luton.
There's a team that is dear to its followers. The colours are bright blue and white. They're a team of renown, and they're the pride of the town. And the game of football is their delight. And all the while upon the field of play, thousands loudly cheer.